Today's episode is brought to you by Righteous Felon. If you're on the hunt for a delicious high-protein snack, look no further than Righteous Felon. This family-owned brand is all about premium pasture-raised Black Angus beef, hormone and antibiotic-free with mouth-watering flavors like OG hickory and 10 grams of protein per serving. You'll get the boost you need for all your adventures. Plus, they have keto-friendly and gluten-free options, and they support sustainability with the Conservation Alliance. Ready to snack smarter? Use promo code MINUTECAST. That's the promo code MINUTECAST for 15% off your order. Head on over to righteousfelon.com or follow the link in the show notes and grab your new favorite snack today.
Minicast Media.
10,000!
Hello and welcome in to this edition of the Nats Minicast, part of the Believe Podcast Network. I'm so glad you decided to join me today. As always, this podcast is free and available on all the major platforms. My name is Dan Holme. You can find me on Twitter. It's at DanCaps218. You can find the show on Twitter. It's at Believe in Nats. That's BLEAV and Nats. And the best way that you can help grow this show is to subscribe or follow the Nats Minicast on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you find your podcast. Give it a 5-star rating, leave some comments, and tell your friends. I sure would appreciate it. Today's episode is also simulcast on the Believe in Nationals podcast feed. So let's get right into it here. Spring training. Biggest takeaway right out of the gate, the Nationals finally added a real adult to the rotation. And if you know anything about this team, it is a primarily young, up-and-coming, rookie-laden team. And that's the thing. That's the biggest takeaway from camp. The Nats needed a grown-up in that clubhouse, and they got one. 37-year-old Miles Mikolas walks into West Palm Beach, and suddenly the entire pitching staff looks like it's waiting for prom to start. Now, the rotation has talent, right? I get that, and it has upside, but it has questions. But what it didn't have was experience. Real October experience, real I've been through the grind experience, and Mikolas isn't here to be an ace. You know, let's be honest, this isn't 2018, but here's because the organization is painfully young. And when you look around, Cade Cavalli, still trying to figure it out. Jake Irvin, still proving it. Josiah Gray, trying to reestablish consistency. And Mitchell Parker, who we saw glimpses of greatness, still kind of learning how to find his way. And now you've got a 37-year-old with all-star appearances and postseason start saying, quote, I want to learn from the kids, unquote, and that matters. That's not ego, that's culture. Now, is Mikolas the pitcher he was from 2018 through 2022? No, I wouldn't say that's the case. The ERA ballooned. The home runs climbed. The strikeout rate isn't overpowering. He's a pitch-to-contact guy in a swing-for-the-fences era. But here's my take, and I'll lean into it. For $2.25 million, I think that this is exactly the type of move rebuilding teams should make. And what is it? What kind of move is it? It's a low-risk, professional, stabilizing move. And maybe, just maybe pitching in D.C. again unlocks something. His numbers at Nationals Park are ridiculous. Is that predictive? Probably not. But if he gives you 160 innings and mentors Cavalli and those kind of guys, I think that he is ultimately worth every penny. So, talking about Mikolas now, talking about Jarlin Susana is the most electric arm in camp. And one of the players, one of the pitchers that I'm most excited to see, in camp here and in the future, because that's the biggest takeaway from the non-roster group. And for me, it's not even close, is Jarlin Susana is the most what I'm going to call electric pitcher in camp. And honestly, it's not even really debatable. Now get this, if you're into speed, if you got the need for speed, if you will, 103 miles per hour, 103. And evaluators say the breaking ball might be better than that, than the fastball, actually. In a lot of ways, that's unfair. Now, yes, lat surgery in September, we have to say that health matters. This organization has had enough pitching injuries to last a decade, but here's a big thing. If Susana is healthy, I think that, he changes timelines. You look at the other intriguing names, Matt Mervis, power bat, but swing and miss concerns. Caden Wallace still hasn't broken through. Andrew Pickney, a crowded outfield, and Seaver King, huge AFL bounce back. All interesting, none transformational. Susana is. Because elite velocity, plus a true, what I'm going to call swing and miss secondary pitch is how you build front end starters in today's game. This organization, hasn't developed that in-house for a while. If Susana flashes this spring, that's really exciting. Even in short stints, fans are going to feel it. And you'll hear the buzz. And suddenly the rebuild feels, I guess, what I'm going to call dangerous. That's what star-level arms do. That they change belief. And I think that is what the Nationals are trying to do right now, is change belief. Change, what you think about this team, that they're starting to make, these moves, the Mikolas move, which I spoke of, which I don't think any of us had really circled. We knew and we know that there are holes in the lineup. But, I'm cautiously optimistic. And I think that, my bar is set so low for this year's Nationals team that I'm just excited to see how these young players look, 1 year, with more experience. I'm talking Jarlin Susana. I'm talking these kind of young up and coming players. That's what it's all about. And I think that, to a certain extent, we have to be content with that. And, if they make it interesting, great. My bar before the Rizzo and Davey Martinez firing was, could this team be a 500 ball club this coming season? I don't think they're quite there yet, but I think that we are going in the right direction, right? It's, if you've ever been wandering out into the woods and you're just like, oh my God, I've been walking this direction, for a long time. And then all of a sudden you're able to find directions. Maybe you find a map and you're like, wow, I recognize some of this. So I think that we're not going deeper into the woods. I think we're slowly making our way back to camp or back to base. And that's what it's all about for me, is encouraging that we're not there yet. You can see, quite a few different mountaintops before we get back to camp, but at least we know we're headed back in the right direction. All right, the biggest takeaway from this episode is Cade Cavalli's sweeper could decide the 2026 season. Straight ahead. All right, welcome back into this edition of the Nats Minicast, this one simulcast on the Believe in Nationals podcast feed. And next here, this is the one I'm most fascinated by. The biggest development in camp might not be a signing. It might be a prospect, and it might be one pitch, if you can believe it. Cade Cavalli is working on a sweeper. And that's intriguing, isn't it? And if it sticks, it could change everything, because he's still perceived to be one of the top pitchers in the rotation. But why that sweeper is so important is that, right-handed hitters crushed him last year. Now, not just a little, absolutely destroyed him. The splits weren't subtle. He dominated lefties. Righties sat on him. He tried adjusting usage, more curveballs, more sinkers, but it didn't solve it. Now, enter the sweeper. This pitch has exploded in Major League Baseball the last few years, and it's not just trendy. It ultimately works if you can perfect it. Now, if you look around the league, high spin, horizontal movement, tunnels beautifully off curveballs. But for Cavalli, it could give him a true put-away pitch versus righties, a different look off the curve, and a way to miss bats late in counts, because right now, he gets to 2 strikes, but finishing hitters, that's kind of been his bugaboo or weakness. That's the leap from promising to what I'm going to call frontline. And I'll say this kind of boldly. I'm going to plant my flag into this one. If Cavalli finds that third swing and miss weapon, he could be your opening day starter in 2026, and many people perceive that. And it's not because of hype, but because of stuff, because of profile. And ultimately because frontline arms need weapons, against both sides of the plate. And if the sweeper tunnels that way, it should. That is nasty. So just zooming out here for a minute, Mikolas brings maturity, something that this young team needs. Susana brings electricity, 103 miles per hour. I hate to be the catcher on the receiving side of that. And Cavalli might bring evolution. That's what this spring is about, not connection, progress, identity, and figuring out which arms are going to define the next competitive Nats team. And that's where we're at right now. Again, I'm excited, despite, people's thoughts that this season isn't going to be any good. It's still my team. I love this team. And if you talk to the Nationals fans, like I talk to the Nationals fans, the enthusiasm surrounding this team is right there, right? And I think that a lot of Nationals fans are in the same boat that I'm in, that, we don't care. We know this season's not going to be a home run, but it's fun, to see the evolution of these players and what the new leadership is going to put together. Because when you look at Taboni, I think that he is a guy that's going to adjust on the fly quickly, and he'll see what's working, what's not working. There might be some surprise trades this season, that kind of thing, that we know it's going to be a season or two before this team is real competitive, right? Combating and trying to do what it can do to win the East and more. But I think, like I said earlier, we're at least taking steps in the right direction. All right, I want to thank you once again for joining me on this edition of the Nats Minicast and Believe in Nationals podcast, part of the Believe Podcast Network. And I'll talk to you again next time.